Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's MobileCause webinar. We're excited to share with you how to grow your mission and make your impact shine with the standalone Giving Day. So, are you ready to stand out and raise more with your own day of giving? So during today's webinar, we'll discuss how the ever-changing philanthropic landscape has made it harder for nonprofits to be seen, and how creating your own day of giving is a great way to get noticed, attract new donors, and increase revenue for your cause. So we'll explore some key steps to get you started, plus we'll map out some exciting promotional strategies to ensure an inspiring and successful fundraising campaign. So we want your participation in our discussion today, so submit any questions you have in the questions box of your panel, and we'll answer these during the presentation as well as at the end, where we'll have a little dedicated time for Q&A with our experts. So we hope you enjoyed today's webinar, and as a reminder, we'll send a recording of these slides to all registrants once the webinar ends. All right, so today's webinar is presented by MobileCause. As a fundraising professional, you have a million responsibilities and few resources. So MobileCause can help. MobileCause delivers comprehensive fundraising software that's easy for you and your donors to use. You also receive campaign creation and setup from a fundraising expert, along with the industry's best customer support. MobileCause believes 100% of donations should go directly to your cause, which is why they don't charge any transaction fees and have the industry's lowest credit card processing fees. With MobileCause, you can raise more with less time and energy. Now, let me introduce today's panel of experts. Alex Mayer is the Assistant Director of Annual Giving at the University of Scranton in Pennsylvania. She's designed and led all components of the university's Day of Giving campaign, which raised $500,000 from 4,000 donors in just one day. Leah Leibolt, is a Senior Digital Marketing Strategist here at MobileCause. Leah before joining MobileCause actually, Leah was Development Director and Nonprofit Consultant at various industry locales. Leah now creates and sets up fundraising campaigns for MobileCause customers, along with digital fundraising and donor engagement strategies. And her work has enabled hundreds of nonprofits to successfully accelerate their fundraising efforts. Very much looking forward to hearing from both of our speakers today. Now, we have an information-packed agenda planned, and our speakers are going to cover why have your own day of giving, creating a plan for your giving day, promotional strategies that will get you seen, and then you'll hear from the University of Scranton on their day of giving experiences. Okay, so before we dive into why and how to create your own day of giving, I have a quick poll here that I'm going to launch. So take a look at your screen and let us know, have you, to this date, actually ran your own day of giving yet? Yes, with great success. Yes, with some or no success, or no, but we're planning on one this year, or perhaps no, but I'd like to learn more. So make your selection there from that interface and submit at the bottom of that polling window. And once we get a good percentage of everybody voting, I'll close the poll and we'll proceed on to our first speaker. Going once, going twice. Okay, I'll close that out and I'll share the results. So by and large, it looks like just a slim majority, well, the majority did say no, but a slim majority said no, but I'd like to learn more. Excellent. So, Leah, this is interesting. What are your thoughts on these results?
I think it's really great that everybody is on this call in order to learn more about how to set up your day of giving. And hopefully we'll have some things for those folks who have had one with great success. Hopefully we have some tips to help it make it an even better success. So what is a day of, so the reason you would want to have a day of giving is it's your organization's time to shine. It's a time when your organization will be at the forefront of your community's minds, unlike on days of giving like Giving Tuesday, where there's tens of thousands of nonprofits around the world that are all participating. It's really hard to break through that clutter and get people to notice you and to join, and to learn more about you. So so a day of giving is a day dedicated to your organization and where you guys can raise money and awareness for your cause. So why have your own day of giving? Of course, we talked about how there's tens of thousands of organizations during, end of year, Giving Tuesday, those big giving days, all fighting for a little bit of a little donor money, maybe in the same communities. And having your own day of giving will really maximize your visibility in your community and hopefully introduce you to some new people that will, build out your donor base and build awareness for the cause in your community. So how do you create a plan for your day of giving? First step is to really select a date. The date doesn't matter so much, but you want it to be meaningful. You want it to be on brand for your organization. So, if you have a Founders Day, that's a great day, or, tie it to a national calendar day, like health, like Breast Cancer Awareness Month is in October. So maybe if you do work with women's health, you'll have your day, your giving day, the first day of October. Fun dates with memorable numbers, perhaps they tie into your mission. Or, your goal, like you hope to, raise $10,000 for 10 scholarships on 10/10. You just want the date to be memorable and on brand and not just something random. You want it to have meaning. And then, of course, you want it to be convenient. You don't want it to be, like a day where there's a lot of other stuff going on in the community, or if you're having a run or a walk and you pick a day in February because it's your Founders Day, but you live in Minnesota, that would not be a great, perhaps not a great day. Next step, after you pick your day, then you're going to define your campaign objectives. And when you define your campaign objectives, that will help you choose the strategy that you're going to employ to launch your day of giving. So some common campaign objectives for days of giving are to grow giving by raising more dollars, to raise awareness by increasing social media shares and your presence online, or grow the overall number of donors. So maybe you guys have a really great core of enthusiastic donors that give to you every year, but that's not sustainable. So you want to grow, you don't care how much people are giving you, but you just want to make sure that you have more people in your community that are giving. That's also something that a lot of foundations look at when they're making grants. Do you have a large base of support in your community? And then another thing is to boost repeat donors or recurring giving, which also provides a sustainable source of funds throughout the year for your organization. Once you define your campaign objectives, then you're going to set out your campaign calendar in order to meet those objectives. You'll want to start 4 to 6 months ahead of time, so that way you get important dates on the calendar. And planning takes a lot of time, because in order to have a really successful day of giving, you're going to need to, you're just not going to say this is our day of giving and sit back and watch the money roll in. No, you have to have a social media plan, a communications plan, and lots of times, depending on the approval process in your organization, that could take 4 to 6 months to set up, especially if you're going to be doing supplemental events around this day of giving. So, and recruiting ambassadors, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But you'll want to create a timeline, not just for your communications outreach, but you'll want to develop a list of ambassadors who are people that are going to reach out on your behalf. And these are people who are going to promote you to their friends and family and help get the word out about your organization. Because a lot of people find that are more likely to give if the recommendation of your organization comes from a valued source like a friend or family member. You'll set up a day of giving webpage on your website that really focuses on what it's about. Maybe send out a postcard, save the date, and then you'll want to create a day of action plan for staff, and you want all the staff to engage on this. And you might want to find matching gift donors. Matching gifts help bring in smaller gifts and help bring more people into giving, because there's a mentality, oh, it's just I can only afford $5 and nobody, my $5 won't have an impact. Well, it will if somebody's matching their $5 gift. And that could be a really great tactic for bringing new people into your organization that perhaps are smaller donors. And so with that, let's talk a little bit about promotional strategies. So you've set up your campaign objectives, you've started planning, and now you're thinking about, you want to get the word out to as many people as possible. How are you going to do that? You'll want to tie your promotional strategies to campaign objectives. For example, I just mentioned the matching gift as a great way to get smaller donors to give and to bring more donors into your organization. So say that's your objective. You want to bring in more donors. So you'll go and find a matching gift. You'll want to make sure, and then you'll want to make sure that the outreach strategies you have match your overall goals for the day. And as a next step, peer-to-peer fundraising is a really great way to use ambassadors. So every post that an ambassador does on your behalf amplifies your reach in your community, because they have friends and family that may not follow you, may not know who you are, but because this is somebody they trust and love, they'll look more into it. Peer-to-peer fundraising is like the peer-to-peer fundraising setup in MobileCause, allows all of your ambassadors or fundraisers to have their very own fundraising pages where they can customize it and personalize it to write why they are passionate about your organization and send it out to their friends and family. And when people are able to articulate why your organization is important to them, it gives your organization not even more legitimacy, but it helps humanize the problems that you're solving, and really helps. It really is effective in bringing in new donors. One of the things you'll want to do with these ambassadors is provide them with a fundraiser toolkit. You want to make it as easy as possible for them to get the word out about your organization and to share the great things you're doing. So what you'll do is, and what we recommend doing, is putting together sample communications that they can use, maybe sample email texts that they can send out to their friends and family, sample social media posts. It could be, maybe a lot of people will do those Facebook picture overlays for the day of giving. You just want to make it as easy as possible and give them as many resources as possible to reach out, because we've seen, and we do a lot of days of giving with crowdfunding, but if an organization recruits their ambassadors and says, great, thank you, they're not going to raise as much money as if they're consistently reaching out to their ambassadors, giving them resources, and motivating them to reach out to their friends and family on their behalf. So that brings us to on the day of giving. The most successful days of giving we've seen have had constant activity all day long. That means a lot of social media posts. That means, making calls. You'll want to engage your whole team to participate in your day of giving. Maybe that means getting your executive director to do thank yous during the day on Facebook Live of the people who are giving, or giving regular updates on Facebook Live. Maybe it means showing people giving live social media or video tours of how some of the funds are going to be used to show people that, their $10, $20, $100 is going to be used in a really great way. We recommend posting frequently on social media. And by frequently, we don't mean like 3 to 4 times. We mean like 10 to 15 times, maybe more. And the reason is Facebook even says this on their own website, that only 1/5 of posts that somebody could potentially see get seen. So if you're afraid of posting 10 times during the day, it's likely that those people are only going to see 2 of those posts. So you're not going to be inundated them with too many posts. If you only post 2 or 3 times during your day of giving, it's likely that the people won't see any of the posts. Text is also a really great way to get people engaged on a day of giving. Text is, it creates a sense of urgency, and it meets people where they are. Well, they might not have had a chance to check their personal email. They've been at work all day. 3 o'clock rolls around and they get a text that says, we are 80% of our way towards our goal. We only need 20 more donors. Help us make a difference. They might click on that link right in the text there and make a gift because it's where they are. It's convenient for them. They would have given a gift, but it wasn't on top of mind. So that text creates a sense of urgency. You'll also want to send emails for people where you don't have their phone number or they prefer to give via email. You'll want to make sure that you use as many channels as possible to reach out to people on your days of giving. Research has shown that the more channels you use, the more response you'll have. And people all say, oh, but we're afraid of using all these different channels. We're afraid of, won't people be annoyed if we send a text, an email, and do a bunch of social media posts? The research has shown that you'll get more gifts if you send more messages via more channels. Also, think about how many emails you get in your inbox every morning. I get probably like 100 that are just, random ads. So it's likely that people hadn't seen your email, or if they hadn't had a chance to react to it. So you need these touches in different channels in order to really drive the message home and get more engagement on your day. Finally, time for campaign follow-up. Your day of giving's completed. It's been really, really successful. And now it's time to follow up. You want to make sure that you thank people in a timely manner. You share with them the money, the way that you are using the money that you raised. Most of the people who give on a day of giving are brand new to your organization. And so you want to show them that they gave to an organization that's a good steward of their hard-earned money. And you'll want to continue to follow up and make sure that you put them in a communications channel, whether that's adding them onto your newsletter list or having a special communications plan for Day of Giving donors, because that next year you're going to want them to give again for your next Day of Giving, and you're going to want them to tell their friends, and you're going to want to turn this into a way for you guys to really increase your fundraising. Because if most of the people say the reason they only give to an organization once is because they don't get thanked. So what's the point of going through all this 4 to 6 months of planning and work just to, and you don't thank them, and then you lose those donors and you have to start all over again. So we don't want that. And, and ultimately you want to create a meaningful, long-lasting connection with your new donors while raising more dollars on your exciting Day of Giving. And that's the point. You want to create a sustainable source of funds long-term for your organization. And a Day of Giving is a way to do that. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Alex.
Awesome. Thank you, Leah, for your insight and input. And as a quick reminder to our audience, if you haven't had any questions yet, you're good. But if questions are coming up and what we're presenting on, feel free to type those into the questions box, and we'll be sorting through those and managing them during our time for Q&A. So now let's turn things over to our second guest today, Alex Mayer, who's going to share her experience in planning and managing a Day of Giving weekend at the University of Scranton. So the floor is yours, Alex. Take it away.
Thank you, fellow Alex. And hello, everybody. I'm going to talk a little bit about the University of Scranton's Day of Giving, which I have helped to plan over the last 4 years. This May will be our 5th year planning our Day of Giving. So this is just the image on the screen now. These are the t-shirts that we've had throughout the years at the University of Scranton. So as you can see, we started in 2015, and like I said, we'll be planning our 5th Day of Giving this year for 2019. So as Leah mentioned, picking the date is not super important, and we knew in 2015, or really in 2014 when we began planning, that we wanted to execute a Day of Giving at the University of Scranton, and we were trying to come up with dates that were meaningful, and there were definitely some as far as Charter Days or Founders Days. However, none of those dates were working with University Advancement's timeline. So we looked at a calendar and we said, okay, let's do it May 6th, 506. We're going to try and get 506 donors. So that was the day that we chose, and for branding purposes and consistency, we've stuck with that date over the last 4 years. So we call it 506 weekend, or, Scranton's 506 Day of Giving. So obviously May 6th falls on a different day of the week every year. So the last 2 years, and also going into this year, we've utilized the whole weekend and executed a weekend of giving rather than just one day of giving, which I'll talk more about. Another reason that we chose May for our case at the university is because our fiscal year ends on May 31st. So we thought that utilizing a Day of Giving in the spring, in May, as a final push to get new donors in, or to retain, donors in from the previous fiscal year, would be a really great tool as far as timing, in the spring, in May. So these are some pictures on the screen that you're seeing of pictures from our days of giving in the past. We really try and involve the whole campus every year. We get students involved, faculty, staff. We do tables on campus. We have regional happy hours for alumni in some of our most saturated markets. Last year, we did a 5K, and we even did that on campus, and we did that virtually. We called it our 506K. So that also brought in more donors. We really use a multi-channel outreach approach. So like Leah said, you can't just stick to one method of reaching out to people. So we do social media, we do emails, we do text messaging, we do a lot. We utilize our alumni, our parents, our friends, faculty, staff, students for peer-to-peer outreach. We use in MobileCause, we use one of their functionalities. We have people signing up to become fundraisers, so they actually have their own kind of page within our page that they promote to bring in donations. So we really try to get the message out there as much as possible leading up to the day or the weekend and throughout the weekend or day. And then we also do a lot, like Leah said, with stewardship. So we always want to make sure that we're thanking every single donor that made a gift, no matter how small or large. We also have found that challenges and matches really motivate our alumni, students, parents, anybody within our organization to make gifts. So we do, 4 to 6 months out, we start trying to come up with matches and challenges from donors willing to put their name out there or not. We've done anonymous challenges. And and I'll talk a little bit more about that. We had a pretty successful challenge last year with our sports teams here at the university. So this slide is about those challenges that I was just talking to. Listed here are some of the challenges we've done in the past. So we have an alumni board. And we have a board of trustees. Our office works really closely with the Alumni Society board. So we polled them last year, and we wanted to find out how much they would pledge to give for 506. And we came up with this number, $42,000. So our goal last year was to reach 2,018 donors. So we pooled all the pledges from the alumni board together, which was 42,000, and we said, if we get to 2,018 donors, the alumni board will give $42,000. That was our overarching challenge throughout the weekend last year. We started talking about that on Thursday night, and we continued to talk about it through the weekend. We do a lot with student scholarships, so we had the $50,000 for student scholarships, which was a $25,000 match plus an additional $25,000. Another scholarship, we have a memorial fund on campus for a young alumni that passed away. So his family last year wanted to set up a scholarship to support students battling illnesses to help pay for their education. So we had an anonymous donor say that he would give $10,000 after the fund reached $40,000, which would mean that the fund would become endowed. So we met those challenges. The $5,000 challenge for the athletics team was super successful. The students got really into this because of their competitive nature. So the challenge was that the athletic team with the most donors throughout the weekend would receive $5,000 for their team by midnight on the last day of giving, which was May 6th, which was a Sunday last year. So we met that challenge. We have a MAC mission fund, which is another program on campus where doctors travel to Haiti with students. There was a challenge there. And then we had an employee challenge. So it's really important, too, to utilize and motivate the employees and staff, within your organization as well to help you hit your goal. So we, try to involve as many different groups on campus as we possibly could. So this here is a look into the ways that people gave and how our multi-channel approach works. So as you can see, we sent a lot of emails. We send a lot of emails throughout the weekend, but we do them very segmented. So we, aren't just sending general emails to everyone. We have special emails for athletics people. We have special emails for different groups, by major, all different things on campus. So parents, people that give a certain amount, people that have given in the past on 506, people that have never given. So we do all different sorts of segmented emails based on that. So you can see social media too. We use Facebook, social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, word of mouth. We do a couple mailings to people that ahead of time that we don't have an email address for. We do we have student callers that call all weekend, so you can see that listed out there. So if you look on your screen here, this is just a snapshot. We used MobileCause the last 2 years for our Day of Giving, but we used it solely last year. We did not promote our Make a Gift website, so we had a crowdfunding campaign for the Day of Giving. And then underneath our crowdfunding campaign, we had all different teams, which were all different causes or scholarships on campus. So if somebody wanted to give to a certain scholarship, we would have had them listed under there. So one thing that we found worked is the screenshot up in the left-hand corner is from an email that we sent. This was a general email that talked about, there was a video in there, and it was an update about the board challenge. One awesome thing that we realized about MobileCause is that when we send an email, we can link a video. So it's a YouTube link That's what we used to do, and then it would bring people to YouTube to watch the video, and then we'd be like, okay, well, what are the chances they're going to go back to a giving page and make a gift? So what we've been doing in our emails is we'll take a screenshot of a video and actually link that to our main MobileCause page. And on the MobileCause page, a video will start playing immediately. So now you're looking at the MobileCause page. So they get the email, they click on that link, and then they would get to our main MobileCause page, and this video would start playing immediately. So it's like a one-shot click. They end up on the MobileCause page, the video starts playing with the sound, and then from there they can just click make a gift. So it's not taking them to YouTube, and then we have to, cross everything that they get back to MobileCause to make their gift. So that's something that we saw great success with last year. And then you can see under here, so this was our main MobileCause page last year. You can see under here all the different causes that we had listed. So we had probably over 20 different designations on campus that had their own pages where people could go and make their gift there. We also used MobileCause last year for, like I said, we had regional happy hours. So we had the sign-ups for the regional happy hour and the 5K as MobileCause forms. And we, any donations that came in through those, we entered into this main MobileCause page. So any amount, so if somebody registered for a happy hour and they made a gift on top of the registration, we entered those as offline donations onto our MobileCause page. So we uploaded everything from, mail, any other registration links into our MobileCause page. So it was just about as real time as we could get it, which was awesome. The donors, after we've surveyed them and talked to some of, our constituents, like our alumni board, they do really like to kind of stalk the page throughout the weekend and watch those numbers grow, especially with the challenges that we do. This is the athletics page that we had last year. So we had our main page, which we were just looking at on the previous slide, and we also made another crowdfunding campaign that was specific to this athletics challenge. So I was talking earlier about the team that had the most donors throughout the weekend would be given $5,000 towards their team. So the students got so into this, and their parents did, and the coaches did. It really took off. So as you can see, there were over 1,100 donors. They raised $41,000. We had the teams all listed as pages. So somebody could click on teams, they could go right to the field hockey team, make their gift, and all the players on the teams were watching their pages to see how many donors were rolling in. So any donors that came in through this page, like I said earlier, we were able to enter those onto the main page, which you saw on this previous slide. So those numbers are reflected from here onto that previous slide. So then these are just some stats about our results. Our average gift size is not large. It's usually right around $100. This campaign, and I think that, it's important to say this, is really about participation. We don't really ever advertise a dollar goal. We'll put a dollar goal on the MobileCause page, but we really talk about how many donors we want to get to by the end of the day or the end of the weekend. So 67% of the donations were between $5 and $105. And like Leah was saying before, somebody might make a gift for $5, or they might want to make a gift for $5 and think, that's not going to make an impact. But you can utilize those challenges and those matches to make your donors aware that that $5 can really be 10, or it can really be, after the challenge is done, you could have raised double what you would have wanted to. So it's really important, I think, to, articulate that to your constituents. So the campaign has also, we've used this as a tool to acquire new donors, and it's been really successful. So as you can see, 51% current donors, 22% gave in 2017, 13% were first-time donors, and this is a big win for us. I'm sure a lot of you know in your organizations that it is difficult to acquire new donors. And then, as you can see, 7% gave in 2014 to 16, and 6% gave prior to 2014. So these are numbers from last year, so it's also a really great tool to get your lapsed donors back into the habit of giving, and it's very important then to make sure that they're properly thanked. With MobileCause, you can embed videos and pictures into your thank you messaging. We do handwritten notes after the fact. So it's, as far as retaining those people, it's really important to make sure that you're stewarding them properly as well. So this, just like this slide says, you know, a day of giving, it's really important to our bottom line every year. I don't see this program going away for us anytime soon. It's really grown into a tool that we use to acquire new donors, to retain donors, to get lapsed donors back in. And it's a really cool way to engage all different groups of constituents. And it's a lot of fun to plan. So with all that, I'm going to turn it back over to the other Alex, the moderator.
Indeed. Thank you, Alex, the presenter. Thanks for sharing such valuable information with us today. And I hope that all of our audience members are excited to implement their own day of giving in their 2019 plan. And now we're going to pivot a little bit. And before we transition into Q&A, I have another poll for us. So here's the poll question. Let me go ahead and launch it in the in-session polling function. And I'm curious, do you like what you've heard so far? And if so, would you like to learn more information about MobileCause? Yes or no? And go ahead and make your selection and hit submit. Excellent. I'll leave this open for another 5 or 10 seconds. Okay. Go ahead and submit your results. Going once. Going twice. Okay, I'm going to close this poll out. And let's pivot now to answer some of the questions that we've received. So to our audience, feel free to submit any questions that might crop up right now in that questions panel. And we'll start with a couple that have already come in here. So the first question today is for, let's see, Alex. So what kind of expertise did you have on your team when you first started your day of giving? Were they paid staff or volunteers? And ultimately, what was your ROI for your day of giving? Or giving day, I should say.
Thanks, Alex. So we have a small staff here at the university on our in our annual giving department. There are a total of 6 of us. As far as expertise, we have, you know, a staff, and they are paid, obviously. We have a staff member that runs our phone-a-thon program, so she oversees all of the student callers. So she handles that aspect of the weekend or the day as far as calling goes. We have, you know, somebody that helps with all of our direct mail. So she did a lot of the work in the beginning, like I said, in getting mailed letters and pieces out to alumni and parents of the university that we do not have email addresses for, or we do and they're not valid, like they bounce. And then the other 4 of us, we do a little bit of everything as far as social media, marketing, you know, soliciting. So there's just 6 of us that are paid staff members that plan this, but we really leaned on our colleagues in other departments to help promote the day of giving, and you know, faculty members, you know, campus partners that run programs like our domestic service trips, our international service trips, coaches. We really lean on them to help promote the day of giving, because it's also, you know, an amazing weekend for them in getting their programs out there and raising money for their programs. As far as return on investment, we don't spend a lot of money every weekend or every day. It's going to be, I think that because the last 2 years we've done it on a weekend, we're probably going to at least use a day on the weekend moving forward for the 5K at least, because that is really popular. But as far as what we spend, I mean, it's like less than $10,000. I'd say it's probably $8,000, and last year we raised, close to $400,000. So it's definitely worth it. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of planning, but it is an awesome day or weekend to add to your organization.
Cool. Thanks, Alex. Next question here is for Leah. So if I don't have a big marketing budget, what should I focus on in promoting my day of giving?
Well, the good thing about having your very own unique day of giving that is outside of big donation push times like the holidays or Giving Tuesday is that ads and boosting posts on Facebook and Instagram are going to be much cheaper. So, you can spend $10, $20, $30 and boost posts. Additionally, I would really recommend focusing on recruiting ambassadors because they'll help amplify your message to their friends and family. And that's a really cheap way to get your message out on social media without having to pay for, mailings and things like that. So you could probably, just really focus, if you just really focus on social media, you could probably do a very low cost event. And, we talk about maybe branding your own special day, and Alex had some great examples about how they did some special branding for their day. But, you can use your normal logo and things that you already have been doing and repurpose them, and you can repurpose articles for some of the posts during the day. It's just finding creative ways to get the word out and repurpose things that you already have.
Indeed. Awesome. Thanks, Leah. All right, next question for Alex. What is the biggest lesson that you've learned, or what advice would you give others who are just starting out?
Thanks. I would say the biggest lesson that we've learned over the last 4 years is that segmentation is super important, and to have a donor-centric approach. So it takes work with data and, looking at historics on where people have given or what sort of programs they were involved with, or, you'd have to cater it specific to your organization. But segmenting and doing emails and reaching out to people that way, like targeted ads on Facebook for certain class tiers or, based on interests, we found that it is more work, but in the end, it's definitely worth it. And, to have a more personal message to people to try and, get them to make their gifts during that weekend. We use a lot of personal messages from faculty members, campus partners. We'll do videos with them, kind of addressing their constituents. So segmentation is important.
Right on.
And one thing that we've learned too is that MobileCause has made this super easy for us because you can have in a crowdfunding campaign on our main page, like I showed you or you saw on the screen, you can break it down and have different sub-pages for different causes. So those pages can have their own videos, their own pictures, their own text. So that has made it easier for us to do the more segmented donor-centric part. And then advice for starting out would just be, it's really important to involve other people in your organization and get them on your side. Use them as ambassadors to help you spread the word. Peer-to-peer outreach is definitely key in a campaign like this.
Cool. Thanks, Alex. All right, next question here for Leah. Well, would you replace a targeted appeal with a day of giving or add it into your solicitation calendar?
Oh, that's a good question. I would definitely, so for example, if you typically do a spring appeal, it might be a great way to incorporate the two. You can, if you already have the letter planned, you can say, instead of saying, here, these are the reasons you should give, fill out this, go online or send your check back. You can say, we have some really exciting news. These are the reasons you should give. Join us in 2 weeks. Here's the website. And then use those 2 weeks to build up the excitement to your day of giving. So that way you're not, doing too much that, you're overburdening your staff or doing too many solicitations close together. But yeah, you could definitely turn an already planned appeal into your day of giving. Or you could pick a time of the year, perhaps you get most of your giving year end and you see a real slump in in May, June. You might want to plan your day of giving for a time when people don't usually hear from you. Hopefully I answered the question. Back to you.
Yeah, I think so. Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Thank you. Excellent. So let's see. Alex, I have another question here for you. So you mentioned a happy hour as part of your day of giving. Can you provide some more details on what that was and what it was like?
Sure, great question. We had regional happy hours the last 2 years, and we called them TGI 506 happy hours. So we utilize these happy hours to kind of kick off the celebration of the weekend of giving. Obviously, if you're just doing this on one day and you have the staff and the help and support, you could do it on the same day as your actual campaign. It was, pretty low cost for us. We reached out to some alumni in our most saturated city markets, so New York, Philly, DC, Connecticut, Boston, New Jersey. And we asked them like a good spot that they thought, as far as a bar to gather alumni, or even parents that live in that area. So we worked with them and we utilized them as volunteers. So we set up the restaurants or bars in those regions. We sent out email invites. Their first drink was paid for by us. The rest of the night was cash bar. We sent the volunteer that helped us find the location and spread the word. We sent them a package a week ahead of time with some T-shirts and tchotchkes and the drink tickets, things like that. So we actually didn't have a staff member going to each one of these, but from a marketing perspective, it was a really valuable kind of engagement tool that we did because we got, great pictures. We had alumni out celebrating together. Not everyone that went made a gift, but on the MobileCause registration, we had it so that it was a free event, but if they wanted to make a gift to count for their 506 weekend gift, they could. And then we also at the event utilized that volunteer to tell every person that came in, you can text to give. So we got a lot of text to give events at the happy hours. So not a whole lot of planning, definitely worth it, I think, just from the marketing perspective. I hope that answered your question. Back to you, Alex.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so another question for Leah. Should we give donors the choice of where to allocate their gift, or should the entire donation go to one single main cause?
That's a great question. And I've seen organizations do it both ways with success. It really depends on going back to thinking about what your objectives are for the day. If your organization has a bunch of different funds and some are more popular than others, goal is really just to get as many people to give, and you feel like some people won't give unless they can give to that program that they're really passionate about, then you might want to give people the option to give to different programs. And I've seen organizations really leverage that by having maybe a competition between the two programs, lighthearted, like whatever program can raise get the biggest number of donors in the next hour gets a bonus $500 for their program, or whatever program, raises, meets their goal before X time, they get a bonus or something like that, or they just get bragging rights. So I've seen people really leverage that based on their donor base to great success. On the other hand, if your goal for your day of giving is to encourage people to provide overall sustainability for the organization, I would have them all give to one thing, whether that's your general operating budget or annual fund. And you might need to, and a giving day might be an opportunity for, if you don't typically have people that give to your general operating budget, to phrase why that source of support is so important to your organization, and use your giving day as a chance to build your endowment or build your operating budget, and really, and use the day as I guess, as I said before, as a way to show people why this is important and to educate them about it. So
Totally.
Either is great.
Cool. Thank you. All right. Let's see. Another question for Alex. So in terms of challenges, did you try any challenges that, say, were for an hour? Like, for example, donor will match all donations for the next hour, and maybe the group that's raised the most over the next 2 hours wins something. Try anything along those lines?
Great question. We actually haven't done any challenges that are specific to timing like that. Most of our challenges have been for the whole day or the whole weekend. We have done challenges that we'll announce as kind of, like the board challenge that I spoke about, we announced before the day of giving. I think we might have announced that Thursday and we launched on Friday. But we have done challenges that are kind of like our pop-up challenges, like this just in, or breaking news, this alumni has stepped forward and will give X amount, or will do this if this happens. Obviously, we had those coordinated ahead of time, but, that sense of urgency and that surprise factor, we do know will motivate donors. But that's a great idea to do challenges based on time. I've seen some schools do challenges, or organizations do challenges if they get donors from certain states, things like that. So there's all different ways, to do fun things and to challenge people and motivate them to make their gift.
For sure. Thank you. And our last question we have time for today, I'll direct towards Leah. And do you have any strategies for reaching out to leaders to serve as ambassadors?
So I like to compare it to when you reach out to your donors. You don't expect to just send them an email, and when you're soliciting your donors, you don't just expect to send them an email and get a gift back, right? Sometimes it takes multiple emails. Sometimes it takes giving them a follow-up call. Same thing with ambassadors. You want to start maybe a month or two ahead of the day of giving, and you want to use that multi-channel approach to reach out to them. Send them an email, maybe send them a follow-up, maybe call them up call them up and ask them, and let them know that they have been so valuable to the organization in the past, and they've been such a great advocate of you that you really would love for them to be part of this special day. And really make the communications all about flattery, about how important they are to you and what a big difference they could make, because how connected they are in their community. And hopefully that will help you get some ambassadors. I would also recommend taking a look at who's, taking a look on social media. Who has tagged you guys in it? Because especially if you're focusing on social media for your day of giving, there might be people who are not on your list of typical volunteers or typical board members who maybe tag you in posts a lot or post about you a lot, who are engaged in other ways. And those would be great people to have on board and help, and it would also help bring them closer to your organization if they're not on your list of usual suspects. Thanks.
Of course. Thank you. All right, and that's about all we have time for in terms of questions today. If you're interested in discovering how to accelerate your fundraising and raise more with less time and less effort, fill out that post-event webinar survey that you'll see popping up on your screen after our webinar ends. Or if you'd like to speak directly with a MobileCause expert, you can call the phone number you see on your screen right now, 888-661-8804, or visit MobileCause.com. And thanks again to our wonderful speakers today, and thanks to each of you for attending our event, and best of luck creating your own successful day of giving. We look forward to seeing you again next month when we talk about the new era of fundraising. Have a great day, everyone.